Hello and welcome to another edition of Hockey Classics. In this episode, we travel to Amsterdam for the 2003 Champions Trophy final between the host Netherlands and Australia. The Dutch team was led by the solid defender Jeroen Delmy, and they had Teun de Nooijer and penalty corner specialist Taike Taikema in their ranks. The Kookaburras, led by Paul Godin, were hoping to win their first Champions Trophy title since 1999.
So it'll be Australia in the green shirts. They'll be going from right to left as we look at them. And it'll be the first touch to Australia with Mike McCann. Bevan George, we saw him injured the other day. Nice to see him back on the park today. Delmy. Early ball for Klaver. Again, Brouwer's made a run to the circle. Klaver going towards goal, corner. Tipped over there by Matty Wells. And the first corner goes to Holland.
Well, it was Butler there chasing Klaver and just running into the 25, chasing his opponent. Interfered with him, brought down outside the 25, and there's Butler making his way back to the centre line. But of course, a corner chance for Holland, and that's crucial for them.
And a green card as well there for Butler. And too quickly off the line was Brent Livermore.
Well, who's it going to go to, Lomans or Takema? It's a difficult choice. They're both outstanding.
An embarrassment of riches for Holland at the penalty corner.
But it causes uncertainty in the defence. That's part of the method.
It's gone to Takema. And that's really hurt Godoy.
Oh, that's a nasty blow. He ran hard and fast. He's been struck, and I suspect maybe even in the groin, and that's a very nasty injury. And we've been talking about it all week. There it is. Takema fires it. Ooh.
That's a shocker.
Yeah. It's a good
Elder,
pass.
great pickup as well. Elder tagged back there by Evers. Goes all the way. And taking the ball back into trouble there. Yazet. He had the chance to clear, but he made the wrong option.
Well, Yazet didn't play yesterday. Already today, I saw when the ball was hit into the circle, he turned his back, and he must have been asleep here, but he certainly hasn't had everything working for him today. He gets that casual, sort of strolling,
languid air about him.
Exactly right. And that's a corner now, and a good chance for Australia.
Well, Australia's corners haven't been the best here in this tournament, but not a bad time to change all that.
And I think you have to consider they'll probably have a shot first up, but they also probably will use a couple of variations.
Well, Godoy is available for a slip left. Wells wears 23. And Troy Elder wearing 5. Is Elder taking it on? Oh, great shot off the bar. Lomans waits for it to stop bouncing and then clears. Luck with Holland there. Now fast break, De Nooijer. De Nooijer. Pass Cummins, De Nooijer! And Bevan George concentrating well there. Van der Weyde.
Well, the Dutch know they're in the game. This isn't like some of the other matches where they've comfortably controlled it and managed it. Both sides are sharing the attack and making it difficult for one another in defence and in the midfield.
Delmy off the foot of Cummins. Now will Delmy drill this one to the circle, look for deflection? Yes, he will. Oh, it's a goal for Holland. I think it was Reckers in there. It was a pinpoint pass again.
Well, there it is. The ball's hit hard, and Reckers moves. No, it's Matthias Brouwer, is it?
Brouwer it is, yes. Yeah. Matthias Brouwer. There's more Run down by Tendenoya, but had the composure to win it back. Takimar, solid channel, challenge going in, corner given. And Holland turned to complain, but that looked a pretty sound decision to me.
It's the automatic complaint, but the original decision was for Elder. Elder plays the ball here. And that's what the umpire indicated he gave the decision for. Just at the top of the circle, so it's really almost outside the circle there, that breach. But if the umpire determines it's deliberate, then there's no question about it.
There were 2 or 3 things there that could have led to the corner. You'll know this is a key moment. Good shots. Oh, great goal. Craig Victory. Well placed for the rebound. It came back off Gus Vogels, and Victory was able to pick his spot. So the confidence of yesterday's goal has restored Craig Victory.
An interesting variation too. Sherbert ran across and went for a little tip in on that hit. It could have worked. It's enough to put the goalkeeper off. But of course, one of the arts that's been lost for the game is defending the hit, because we're so focused on the flick, and those hits rebounding are a great opportunity to score, and Victory took his well then.
Denoya for Avis into the Australian circle now. Head across goal, looking for a foot there, no foot comes. Avis. So back to equality again. Denoya, Avis. Just wouldn't fall for Dirks, might fall here. Oh! Wonderful, wonderful goal.
Well, Australia would be very disappointed with that. Immediately the Dutch got to the circle. 3 or 4 attempts to clear. The ball comes here to Garrison. There's the shot.
Godoin was alert to danger. He was flinging himself in there in a very dangerous situation. But the shot from Piet Hein Harris had too much on it for Hickman. And as we said just a few moments ago, sides that score so often concede. We've now had 3 goals in about 5 minutes. Could be another one here for Harris. Going forward, again taking onto that reverse stick side. So Australia shaken by that immediate response from the Dutch. Now Lohman striding forward. Not a lot of control there, though.
Well, how often do you see the goal scored immediately, or the chance come immediately after your team scores, and really Australia will be disappointed, bitterly disappointed with that.
Here's Schubert. He was looking for Livermore, but it fell kindly for Eglinton. Now Livermore has it. Bevan George. Craig Victory. I'm still celebrating that goal when they were picking it out at the other end. Eric Yazet. Plava runs outside him. A loose ball from Yazet. It was aimed at Evers, but Evers wasn't ready for it. Free hit to Australia. Cummins.
A chance for Australia as they're on the circle edge. They want to make the most of this one. Wells has a lovely flat hit.
Drilled in. Eglinton. Back for Wells. Oh, off the foot of Yazet. Really soft stuff there from Yazet. And again, he complains bitterly, but, well, I really don't know what goes through his mind on occasions like that, Rick.
There's no question about it.
He didn't even have the wit to get out of the circle before he complained. So Godoin there with his hand over his mouth, making sure Anthony Lipreed is in the Dutch team.
Australia 1 from 4.
Well, they'll be looking for a return from this one. 3 minutes to go before the break. This would be a perfect way to respond to that second Dutch goal. It's a variation. Godoin taken off the line. Derrick's doing well. That's a good ploy by Australia there, just changing the striker, changing the angle. And Godoin, who scores so often for Australia from there, this time thwarted.
Well, they've already gone to the left. That time they did the dummy and went on to Godoy further, but couldn't quite finish it.
And here's Denoya. Claver onto the foot of Godoy. Play allowed to go on. Del May has the ball. Good umpiring. Now Harris. He's got Cummins against him. Plays the ball into the circle. Cummins helps in the clearing up operation and continues his run. Lovely play by Australia, transferring the ball well.
It's quick, Eglinton.
McCann. Livermore. Godoy out on the right. Here he is. Drilled in. Eglinton was there, and little deflection onto the foot of Van der Weyden. And this is the side of the game, the Dutch game, that I don't admire.
Very difficult to tell what happened there. May have come off Eglinton's stick and just flown into the back of the Dutch player. They may have a point there, but now they have to defend the corner.
Well, Rick, it's a bit like crying wolf, though, isn't it? If you complain at every corner, when you have got a case, it seems to dissipate somewhat.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's what they do. And they only have themselves to blame if they have little impact.
So another big moment. 1 minute left on the clock. Wells' shots just wide. Good strike. And Holland taking it very quickly again. They're aware that when Australia take these corners, they are stretched at the back. Harris. Cummins delaying things, but Holland keeping possession. Denoya.
Not only are they stretched at the back, they often have some of their forwards back there who aren't typically defenders and perhaps don't tackle as well and don't understand the angles as well. So those are dangerous situations, those break away from the corner defence. Australia come away with it now. Coach Dancer would be bitterly disappointed. This Australian team got back into the game at 1-1, and then immediately the Dutch scored. The old three-card trick, if you like. It's something that you see happen so often, in a team as experienced as Australia should have been ready for it.
Now, looks as if both sides have conceded the scoreline to the other at half-time. The half-time hooter about to sound here in Amsterdam. Splendid first half of this Champions Trophy final. The Netherlands have the slenderest of advantages here. They lead by 2-1, and it'll be some tough talking in both dressing rooms over half-time. So it'll be Holland in the orange shirts who get this second half underway. Del May to Denoya. 35 minutes to decide the gold medals in this Rabobank Champions Trophy. It's been an excellent tournament. Goals are plenty, plenty of thrills and spills. And I'm sure the next 35 minutes will give us no shortage of thrills either. Very even first half. Australia enjoying the lion's share, perhaps, of the corner, certainly. Rick will give you some statistics in a moment. Well, Stato, what was the story of the first half? How many corners did Australia accumulate there?
Australia, 6 corners. They scored once. The Dutch only 1 for no score. Penetrations were close. Australia had more shots at goal, 11-5 from the Netherlands. So Australia probably had the better chances, but didn't have the finish. Wouldn't surprise at all if they were to restore parity here. Good effort by Godoy.
Great play by Godoy, leading by example as ever. And a penalty corner for the foot of Derricks.
And he was 2 yards inside the circle, and he still finds reason to argue with the ref.
So, chance here for Australia, who are playing with 10 men, remember.
No, I'm unfair to him. He was just inside the circle. Well played there by the Australians.
Far enough in.
He was, yeah, he was definitely in, no doubt.
So Eglinton going across to push the ball out.
Hopkins is the hitting option with Wells off. Will Elder take it? Wells Goodwin to the left.
Plenty of options still then for Australia. Holland too quickly away from the line. Rob Recker's the first man out there. He was really moving.
A lot of gamesmanship here.
Recipe as before. Elder, great strike, Troy Elder. No mistake there. And that ties it up again. At 2 goals each with 11 minutes left on the clock.
And there's Wells on the bench applauding. Had to come. Lovely finish by Elder. There's no saving that. That's perfect.
Well, that's real quality there, delivering such a quality finish under pressure.
The Dutch have been in second gear. Can they change up?
This is Harris. Deflected over the baseline. This is Eglinton. Runs into Takimar. Good solid take there by Takimar. Now Denoya. Denoya teasing into the circle. Oh, magnificent! Absolutely magnificent from Turn Denoya. And there was no angle at all. And Rick, how did that one get in?
Well, Australia have done it again. They've scored, and suddenly the Dutch get a chance. This is a half chance, and he slipped that under the body of Hickman. Wonderful skill, reluctance to tackle, and then under Hickman's body. Hickman, of course, worried about the little pass back, covered that one, but the ball's gone under his armpit, and that's brilliant play by Denoya. We haven't seen much from him, but what we saw then was vintage.
Well, it was only a half chance, but that's all he needed. Well, 4 minutes and 40 seconds left for this crowd to enjoy, to savour in this truly remarkable Champions Trophy. More, of course, if Australia can take it into extra time. They need to score if they're going to do that. They haven't given up. They'll battle away to the final whistle.
Will there be another twist?
It's been a tournament of twists, hasn't it? Wells, oh, a little mistake there. Denoya getting in the way. Klaver and Bevan George doing very well indeed.
George recovers the situation, and now Australia chance. Eglinton, quite the finish, but Victory wins it.
Real end-to-end stuff, but Australia just not able to get the quality possession as Denoya takes it on. Klaver ahead of him. Denoya, Klaver, he could finish it here. Klaver, wonderful goal, and surely, Rick, that's it. Denoya with the pass, unselfish as ever. And he picked out Carol Klaver. Klaver run unopposed into the circle.
And Denoya breaks. Wells is caught between. Klaver runs, and no trouble finishing there. Hickman caught halfway, and that's a wonderful finish there. Always the danger for Australia was the turnover and the counter-attack. Here's a chance.
Real end-to-end stuff. That game restarted with 4 Dutchmen still celebrating the Australian half, and I've never seen that before. Now Craig Victory.
George.
Chance there. And Yazet furious with his defence. He's actually eager not to make the mistake that Australia have made when conceding goals immediately after scoring.
Well, I think they made it, but Australia just didn't finish.
A little more than 2.5 minutes left on the clock. Holland are nearly there. 4-2 their lead. Same score as in the pool match. Bevan George, space on the left-hand side. It's a good ball. Schubert, haven't seen too much of him today. Crowd getting behind the Dutch now. It's all Holland around the stadium, but not down on the pitch. Australia camped in the Dutch half.
Schubert, forever the finisher, hasn't had the service today that he would have wanted.
Australia still haven't given up. A real never-say-die team.
Oh, here we go.
And Schubert involved there, all right?
Pretty careless by Schubert in his enthusiasm. Dutch perhaps overreacting, and the situation calmed.
Good captaincy there by Godoin, quickly in just to calm things down.
And Del May too played a part.
And two real sportsmen there, De Nooijer and Paul Godoin, just explaining that there's so much noise, I don't think either side really heard the whistle.
And Schubert, young and enthusiastic. And perhaps frustrated today because he hasn't had the opportunities that he might have hoped for.
Godoin will get underneath that one. Livermore. Cummins. Livermore out to Bevan George. Craig Victory.
This Australian team that have been so close a few times recently.
What a wonderful passing movement that was, Rick. Lovely play. Still on as well here. McCann winning a corner right at the death. 1 minute left on the clock.
And of course the Dutch will take all the time in the world to defend this, even if Australia scores. There probably isn't enough time for another goal afterwards. Australia wanting to hurry it. The Dutch taking as long as they like.
Well, I hope the umpire...
Very frustrating.
Godoin asking the umpire to stop the clock. Lohmann very slow back. Clock still winding away. The shot comes in. And deflected wide of goal. That's the last chance, surely, for Australia. Had to go in.
And then another ball across the face. Two diving Australians. Unfortunately,
the last
no touch.
20 seconds, Rick. I think even you're going to have to concede defeat here.
No.
No?
No, I'm not going to have to. I wasn't playing, but Australia had their opportunities. But they didn't have the finish and the polish. The Dutch scored.
The celebration's down there already on the pitch. And the final whistle sounds here. It's a sea of orange again in the Wagner Stadium. Great joy there for a proud man, Joost Bellart.